Hey guys, welcome you all. So today we are going to discuss very interesting topic where we'll understand what are the LSA type in OSPF, right? So we'll try to do the deep dive and we'll try to understand step by step how LSA behavior is going to be look like and what are the LSA in the OSPF, okay? So stay tuned and we'll see step by step all like important learning about the LSA. Okay, in case of you any doubt, right, and you're watching on the YouTube, right? So you just have to put your query in the chat. So I will take those query and probably I will help you to explain if you have any doubt about the LSA. Anything, not only the LSA, but the more discussion is going to stay around the LSA. But still, if you have any further doubt regarding any OSPF or other routing protocol, just let us know. So probably I'll going to help that. So you can see this is my lab. And in this lab, we have the different areas, right? You can see we have the area 0, right? And this is the area 0. We have some EIGRP router where might we are going to run the EIGRP. So we'll do this discussion later how the redistribution is going to be happen. Also, we have the area here, that is area 11, and this is the area 22. So we have the different use case, and also this is the EIGRP. This might be we are going to run BGP and all. So we have the different use cases where we will discuss different type of the behavior of the routing, and this is the advanced routing. Right? If I'm talking about advanced routing, that means you have to understand how step by step approach we should take while implementing the advanced OSPF, BGP, EIGRP, and how their redistribution, path symmetry, that all is going to be happen. Okay, so let's not go in the further discussion about the other routing protocol. Just stay on the LSA because we have to understand what are the LSA, what are LSA in OSPF, right? And why this LSA is going to be used. So you can say even have the backbone area. This is connected with area 1 and this is area 22, 11 and 22. So why I have make this kind of topology that also we'll try to understand. All right, guys. So let's start. So when I talk about the LSA, the first LSA we have in our OSPF, that is the LSA1, right? This is the LSA1, which is known as the router LSA. So what is the router LSA? And one more thing, there is a two term I'm going to use. One is the intra area and one is the inter area. Okay. So you just have to understand what is the intra area and what is the inter area. So intra area means, let's suppose I'm going to do some kind of the communication from this area to this area. So you can see this is the area number 0. This is the area number 11. So this is going to become inter area, means you have the two different area. On that two different area, you want to make the communication. I hope you guys understand. So that's a inter area. If I'm going to use the word intra area, that means I want to do communication within my area between these routers, right? You can see, so if I am sending any packet from here to here, that is going to stay as a intra area within the area. If I want to make any communication, even I want to do from here to here, still it is going to be intra area. Here to here, still it is going to be intra area. But if I cross this boundary and I want to go and talk to this router or even this interface of this router, so this is going to become inter area communication. So I hope you guys understand. So this is all about the intra area and inter area. So when I talk about the LSA1, so generally when I talk about the LSA1, these LSAs are going to originated by the router who are going to directly inside of in your single area. That means this is my area, and if any router is going to generate OSPF, right? Any router is going to create OSPF neighborship. So they have to advertise their LSA information. So the LSA1 is always going to generated by every router, and that LSA is going to stay within the area. That's known as the LSA1, right? I hope you can understand. And this is going to stay within the area. So that is known as the inter area LSA. Okay. So please let me know if you have any question, right? So I can just take it, right? Now we have the second type, the area, means the LSA. Let me write it here. The second LSA is LSA2, right? So what is this LSA2? That is known as basically network LSA. So what is the network LSA? So basically this LSA also going to stay within the area, right? So this is also known as the intra area LSA. Means this LSA2 also not going to travel from one area to another area. This is also going to stay within the area. So this is the LSA1 also going to stay, and LSA2 also going to stay. LSA1 is going to generated by the all router. This will also generate the LSA1. This is also going to generate LSA1. This is also going to generate LSA. This is also going to generate LSA1. But who is going to generate the LSA2? So there are two special routers within the area that is known as the DR and BDR, right? So when we have the multi-access network, right? So if we have the DR BDR concept, so that's DR routers are going to basically who are just going to be even going to become the BDR, they are going to generate the LSA true. So initially DR is going to generate the LSA 2. If DR is going to down, then BDR is going to become a DR. That is going to generate the LSA 2 as well. So that's why any DR and BDR. So I'll explain what is the DR and what is the BDR. Might be you are going to find a separate session for that where I'll explain all the detailed about the DR and BDR so you can understand. But for time being, you understand if I have the LSA true, that means it is going to generated by the special router. That could be the DR, that could be the BDR, right? So still it is going to stay within the area. Okay. Any questions? Anyone have? All good? Great. All right, guys. So give me thumbs up, right? If you understand this concept. Okay. So all good. Thank you. So now let me talk about the third LSA type. So you understand the LSA1, LSA2, both are going to stay in the same area. But what is the LSA3? So if I talk about the LSA3, so that is going to be basically known as the summary LSA. So what is a summary LSA? So summary LSA is the LSA basically that is going to travel from one area to another area. So if I want to make any communication, let's suppose this router want to talk to this router. So it will generate the LSA1 for sure. It might not generate the LSA2 if it is not a DR of the particular network. If this is the DR, then it is going to generate the LSA1 and LSA2 both, right? So if this LSA1 or might be any network or anything generated by this router want to communicate with this particular router, so he need to travel from this link and from this area. So how the communication is going to happen? If this loopback network want to reach to this router, so which LSA is going to carry that information? So that your LSA3, that is a summary LSA, that is going to travel between your area. So this is going to allow inter-area communication, right? So this is going to allow inter-area communication where you are going to make the communication between one area to another area. So that's why the LSA3 is always going to advertise by the router who is the ABR. That is known as the area border router, which have the two area connectivity. You can see this is the one area connectivity and this is another area connectivity. So if anything coming from here, it is his responsibility to advertise here. Anything coming from here, it's his responsibility to advertise to this area also. So this is going to be advertised across other area, but this LSA also make a special note. If you have any area, stub area, right? You might be not aware what is the stub area. We have totally stub area, right? We have another area that is known as a no so stubby area. So if you have this special area available in the OSPF domain, in this case, this LSA is not going to propagate inside of these areas. It is only going to propagate in normal area, not something very special like stub, totally stub, and no NSSA, right? Means no stub area, NSSA area. So that's you have to take in your consideration. Means this LSA 3 is going to travel from one area to another, but that area must not be Stub, totally Stub, or NSSA. Clear, guys? I hope it is clear to everyone. Let me see if we have any question in the chat. Hold on, guys. So yes. So everyone clear, right? Thank you. So now we understand about the LSA 3. Now it's time to understand about the LSA 4. Okay. So LSA 4 basically known as the ASBR summary LSA. Always people confused about the LSA 3 versus LSA 4. And most of the interviewer always going to ask why we use the LSA 4 and why you use the LSA 3. So one thing you have to understand, what is my ABR and what is my ASBR. Okay, so this term you have to understand. So ABR is just a router who is connecting two areas. So you can see this is the ABR. But let's suppose I have some other routing. Let's suppose you have this area, right? This is area 11, this is area 12. So if you want to make the communication, this is going to act as the ABR, area border router. But you can see at the same time, we have the ERGRP domain, means we are getting some different route from OSPF. That is a different routing protocol. So this is technically going to become the ASBR, right? That is known as ASBR stand for Autonomous System Boundary Router, right? ASBR. ABR is Autonomous Border Router. So basically, whenever we want to understand, right? Whenever we want to understand from where this route is coming, right? Means understand, guys, what I'm trying to make a point here. If you want to understand, let's suppose this is my EIGRP domain. I just want to advertise this loopback address to this particular router, right? So definitely it is going to come here on the ASBR. ASBR will send to the ABR and then ABR will send to the another router via LSA 3. So how I come to know from which router I need to reach from here? So basically, if you talk about the ASBR, it is going to provide reachability to any ASBR router that is going to generated by the ABR. So basically, technically, that is a LSA which is going to give the informations which is basically going to use to reach to any ASBR router who is just injecting that particular prefix. So that's your ASBR, right? So when I do like more deeper side about the ASBR means LSA 4, so that is again, it is going to like use for the inter-area communication, but it is not going to travel again for any special area, right? Let me just make a point. So even it is the LSA 4, right? And your ABR is going to tell from where this route is coming, right? ABR is basically responsible who is going to generate this LSA, and it is going to make sure you come to know from where this route is coming. But at the same time, if LSA 4 is generated by ABR, right? And it is telling your reachability. So at the same time, this LSA is not going to be apply or not going to travel for any stub area and totally stub area, or might be the NSSA area, right? So I hope you guys understand, right? Okay. So let me move to the further, right, for the next LSA type. So we can understand the next LSA type. So now we understand the LSA 4 and LSA 3 as well. What is next one? So let me write next one. We have the LSA 5. Sorry, guys. LSA 5. And this is known as the external LSA. Now, the question is who is going to generate the external LSA? We understand ASBR, like information is generated by the AVR, means technically LSA 4 is generated by the AVR, right? LSA 3 also generated by the AVR, but who generate the LSA 5 information, right? So basically LSA 5, right? It's responsibility of the ASBR router. So let's suppose it is going to tell if this is my ASBR, right? And this route EIGRP is coming. Let's suppose you have the BGP domain here, like you're running the BGP as well. So any route, let's suppose you are advertising some 10.10.10/32 route. Here 192.192/32 route. This is going to reach to SBR. This advertise the external route via the redistribution. So you have to redistribute BGP into OSPF, and also you have to advertise EIGRP into OSPF. So this is the two conditions. So basically it is the external route that is going to redistribute from another protocol by any SBR which is going to generate your LSA 5. So that means if any route is coming, right? Any route is coming as a LSA 5, that means it is going to give you again any kind of the information for different routing domain, and that is going to come as a form of the LSA 5, and it is going to use again to make reachability from the any other domains as well. So ASBR is like summary LSA. This is the ASBR. LSA 4 is the right. So let me just make more simpler. So if I'm writing the LSA 4, this is also known as the ASBR summary LSA, right? This is my external LSA. So ABR is going to give other router, which is summary coming from the ASBR, means it is going to tell about your ASBR information, how you can reach to this ASBR. But LSA 5 is actual route, which is coming from any external domain, which is going to advertise to different area. Clear? Please let me know if you are not clear about this concept. So I will try my best to re-explain it. If you have any question, put in chat, so I can even watch what you not understand, what you understand. Right. So I hope you guys understand, because I can see a lot of thumbs up, right? So good. Thank you. Now, what next? So we understand, again, if I have the any kind of the external route, right? By default, this LSA 5 is also blocked in the totally stub and stub area. But inside of the LSA 5, you are going to advertise one of the default route to reach any external routing domain. So when I do the lab, I'll show you what does mean. Probably you're not going to understand right now, but you are going to get when I just perform the lab. So I can show you this LSA in very detail, how it is going to be happen. Okay. So just hold your thoughts. Probably when we do the lab, I'll just explain all those database and I'll show you step by step. So now LSA 5 also understand. So let me just quickly summarize. So we have the LSA 1, we have the LSA 2, we have the LSA 3, we have the LSA 4, and we have the LSA 5. This is generated by the every router, right? This is generated by only in case of DR BDR scenario, right? This is AVR is going to generate. This is it is going to give the ASBR summary route LSA, but generated by the AVR only. And this is going to be ASBR like LSA external route we are going to get from the ASBR, that is going to be there. Now after that we have the LSA 6 and then LSA 7. So let's talk why we always skip the LSA 6. We not talk much about the LSA 6. So basically LSA 6, that is the LSA, basically it is used for the MOSPF. What is the MOSPF? In case if you are running the multicast, right, then it is known as the multicast OSPF, right? So in case, let's suppose you are running the multicast in the network, you are running the PIM or sparse mode, right? And you just run the IGMP protocol to just make sure you have some kind of the OSPF running inside of that. In that case, MOSPF is going to be enabled. and they are going to generate the LSA. So it is not going to use in the normal routing switching scenario. So that's why you're going to not find this LSA very frequently. But yes, if you have the multicast network, then you must have to know about that. What is my LSA 6? Okay. So right now we not have to discuss a lot of about the multicast. So I'm just parking this. But yes, you should know about what is the LSA 6. But LSA 7 is going to very important for you. So what is LSA 7? So LSA 7, basically it is similar when we are talking about the external LSA. What is external LSA? That is LSA 5. So it is pretty similar to the external LSA, but it is not exactly same what external LSA can do that. So external LSA, basically, if you can talk about, so external LSA, basically, it is going to get from the external routing, which is coming from the external domain. So that external routing is going to always known by the LSA 7, sorry, LSA 5. But if I talk about the LSA 7, so if I have some special area, let's suppose if I have the NSSA area, that is a no stubby area. In that scenario, if any route, let's suppose I make this area as a NSSA. Sorry, let me just make it an SSA. This is my NSSA area. And let's suppose this router is connected with another routing protocol. That might be the BGP. So it is going to advertise a route 20.20.20.20/32. So this is BGP route is going to come in the OSPF domain. Here we are running the all OSPF, right? And you make that the area as a NSSA area. So it is always going to generate as a LSA 7. But when it is going to travel to another area, and let's suppose it's your ABR, right? Then it is going to translate it as the LSA 5. So your travel from the NSSA area means it is going to travel to another area. Then your ABR is going to translate as the LSA 5. But if it is going to stay in the NSSA area, it is going to known as the my LSA 7. So it is more similar to the LSA 5, but it is going to use in the NSSA area. And when it is going to cross the border and want to travel to another area via the ABR, then it is going to convert it into my LSA 5. I hope you guys understand about the LSA 7 as well. Please let me know if you not understand it. Please feel free to ask me. Okay, good. I can see everyone understand. Very nice. All right. Now we have the another LSA. So let me move that. We have the LSA 8. So what is LSA 8? Probably we are not going to discuss about that. So basically, this is the LSA which is going to use in the IPv6. If you're running the IPv6 and you are going to enable the OSPF, let's suppose this is the one router and this is another router. So if you are going to use IPv4, we have to define the IP like 10.10. Like that. But if you are going to use the IPv6, we have the special IP range, IPv6 range, and that is known as the OSPF v3 and for the IPv6. And if I talk about the IPv4 OSPF, that is known as the OSPF v2. So whatever we discussed till now, that is basically known as the normal IPv4 OSPF. But when I talk about the LSS 7, that is the OSPF that is going to use in the IPv6. And this is known as the LSA 8, known as the link LSA. Link LSA for, let's suppose you want to enable here. So they will generate the LSA to make the OSPF neighbors. That is a link OSP, OSPF, and used for the OSPF third generation, that is a v3, and that is going to enable and advertise across the local address which is going to configure on the link, and that is going to just exchange between these two neighbors. That's the OSPF v3, and that's the IPv6, and that is where LSA 8 is going to be used. Okay, I hope you guys understand. Now we have the last LSA, that is the 9 LSA. So let me write here the LSA 9. So what is the LSA 9? And we also call LSA 9 to 11, right? So if someone is going to talk LSA 9, LSA 10, or might be the LSA 11. So probably you never heard about it, right? So basically it is known as, all LSA is known as the opaque LSA, right? This all LSA, opaque LSA, where it is going to use. So it is going to use in the MPLS traffic engineering. So if you are going to learn MPLS traffic engineering, which is going to use widely in the backbone of the any ISP, so that is use the OSPF extension. Like you have to do the traffic engineering like TE, so you can use that. And it is not very kind of the often deployment. It's a very special rare use case. And when you have the very specific requirement, then you are going to use this. Or I can say almost it is like kind of the very advanced thing if you want to do in the your specific kind of the design for your MPLS traffic engineering network, then you are going to use the LSA 9. All right. So this is all about the LSA. So we have total 11 LSA. And let me just quickly summarize for the all LSA so you can understand that one by one again. So we discuss again LSA 1, that is generated by the every router, right? LSA 2, that is the, in case of the DR, VDR you have, then it is going to generate LSA 3, that is going to generate by the ABR. LSA 4, that is going to give the ASBR summary LSA, but generated by the ABR only again. LSA 5, it is going to give the external route information, and that is going to generate by the ASBR. LSA 6, that is going to use for the MOSPF, that is your multicast, we are going to use that. LSA 7, it is going to generate by the NSSA area, but when you are going to travel another area, means ABR router you want to cross, then it is going to convert as the LSA 5. So it's similar to the LSA 5, but when it is going to stay in the LSA 7 in the NSSA, that is going to stay as the NSSA area, that is LSA 7. And LSA 8, that is your basically OSPF, you are running V3 for the IPv6. So this is going to apply for the only link level, right? For the OSPF neighborship. And if I talk about the LSA 9 to 11, they are basically OSPF LSA, that is going to use in the MPLS traffic engineering, right? So this is all about the LSA, guys. So I hope this session is useful. Now, next, what are we going to do that? We are going to do the configuration, this all labs, right? Step by step, I'll configure neighborship and I'll just demonstrate how the OSPF is going to look like actually in router end side and how it is going to be translated. All right. So thank you so much. And let's continue our configuration. Have a